Wake Forest political scientist John Dinan joins us live now. John, you're watching these results roll in right along with us. I want to show you a little bit more of what this town looks like since his passing. A lot of these buildings are made out of wood and tin. No match for those 110-mile-per-hour winds. I want to show you the action right now. You see they're on the ground with the hose shooting water into the back of the building. Much better news to report this evening about Savannah Childress. She was found last night in Arkansas after a shooting and a chase. Here's the crux of Taylor's argument. He says his customers can't go inside his bar for a beer, but there are at least 3 other establishments less than half a mile from here where they can legally get a drink. Governor Roy Cooper says he wants to give educators a one-time bonus. He laid out his budget recommendations for coronavirus relief spending today. Right now we're staying on top of breaking news in Hawaii, where a volcano is erupting. This is new drone video we just got. Groups from North Carolina are heading down south to help people get ready for the storm. Samaritan's Purse is stocking trailers with tools and supplies for storm relief. Prosecutors in Minnesota are asking for third-degree murder charges to be reinstated in the George Floyd case. Right now we want to go to photojournalist Chris Peterson, who is in Mount Airy. Chris, you are on North Street getting images of damaged trees down on top of cars. Tell us what's going on out there now. Good morning from Washington, D.C. Here in the nation's capital, fans have a lot of expectations for the matchup between the top 2 seeds in the East. Now, I want to give you a frame of reference here. Downtown Wilmington is to my left, and to my right, this is the Cape Fear River, and these early bands of Florence are really whipping this body of water around. Everyone, by now you know I am in San Diego, California. It is gorgeous out here, and check out who I caught up with.
Hey, it's Kathleen Baker, just saying hey to everyone back home in Winston-Salem.
How about you, Briana?
Okay, I'm gonna check in and see what your wife Amanda has to say about that. But anyway,
oh, she can't find out about that. She can never know.
You just announced it on television, Kenny. I think she knows. Yeah, she actually signed that declaration right in front of me just a few minutes ago after our interview. And she told me it's going to free up resources, many of them financial, and it'll also set the stage for the city to put in more restrictions if need be. And as you said, a lot of municipalities in our area are doing the very same thing. That includes Wilkes County, and that is where we find our Leanne Denyer. I want to check in with her now. Leanne, what can you tell us? Now, back here in Greensboro, I am at the Stephen Tanger Center for the Performing Arts, and the ribbon cutting ceremony, which was supposed to be a week from today, next Friday, has been postponed. It is not canceled as of right now, but this was certainly an event that a lot of people were looking forward to. Talitha, Kenny, if there's one thing people can agree on, it's that this fair is really important. It means a whole lot to a lot of people and their families. That's part of the reason we've seen such a strong reaction from people when they first proposed the idea to change the name of the Dixie Classic Fair. It's been called that since 1956. Earlier, the city put out a survey asking people what they thought the fair should be called. The majority, more than 80%, responded saying it should stay the Dixie Classic Fair. But at tonight's forum, we heard from a lot of people who are on the other side of this debate. Our Steve King was inside the education building when people were saying their opinions. So, Steve, tell us more about who was inside that room. Another argument we heard tonight had to do with how much the change would cost. The city would have to rebrand everything from promotional items to the contracts they use for events and vendors and entertainers to just the signs you see around the city that point you to the Dixie Classic Fair. Well, I've tried to ask and found out how much that would cost. Right now, the early estimate is anywhere between $500,000 to $1 million. That woman you just heard from is the chair of the Fair Planning Committee. We did a little more digging to find out who's on that board, and here's what we found. Of course, the mayor and city council are elected. They appoint members of something called the Public Assembly Facilities Commission, and that group appoints the planning committee. These people will make a recommendation to the city council members, taking into account the cost of a name change and public opinion this summer. We're told the council will make a final decision in August. And if they do decide to change the name of the Dixie Classic Fair, it wouldn't take effect until 2020.
I was the bus boy, and I was carrying the bus boy. I was walking through the aisle just like this right here.
At 83 years old,
I believe that's why Miss Hope kept me on here, because I can move fast.
Charles Bess still hasn't slowed down.
I would say, hot stuff, and the people would get out of the way.
but he stood still for at least a moment behind the Woolworths counter in 1960.
That's me.
What do you see when you see that young man?
I'm proud of myself. I'm just proud to be a part of Woolworth.
Put me in that moment where these 4 young men came in, sat down at this very counter, and then refused to get up.
Every time when a waitress would tell them, we don't serve colored folks here, they would ignore that and they kept on sitting and asking for coffee. I never did hear them ask for nothing else but coffee. Everyone was looking at each other, wondering what was happening. I was standing close by, and I wondered what was going on.
Were you ever scared?
Scared?
Yeah.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't scared at all, because the reason I wasn't scared because I was glad to see it happen.
There's a new generation coming forward to do those same courageous things to get closer to equality. And so when you look at some of the things that we experienced over the summer, even the protests that happened here in Greensboro, what did you see?
The black man has moved forward. He's moved forward, but in some areas still haven't got there.
When you see these young people, again, it's people oftentimes who look like me out there. If you could sit down with them and talk with them, what would you say?
I would tell them that we can't accomplish nothing by being violent, but we can accomplish by praying together and just start doing what's right.
Advice for the next generation from a busboy who witnessed history, now a man determined to keep it from repeating.
I'm glad to be alive to tell the story of the city movement. I'm glad. I just praise the Lord that I'm here to tell the story.
In Greensboro, I'm Briana Conner. Those words by poet Judy Holcomb Pack describe the pictures a local photographer has been snapping around town since the coronavirus created a city that looks unfamiliar.
No cars, shops are closed, very few people, and the people that you do see, there was no pep in the step. It's almost like you was watching the city die all by itself.
That's how Owens Daniels describes our new normal, but it's also how he found inspiration.
So I grabbed my camera one day and just started walking the streets, and I thought to myself, if I had to say something to my city, what would I say?
I'm here. I love you. God is still good. Those are some of the ways people are responding to Daniel's question. He's taken almost 150 of these photos, now by appointment only. He says he wants every group in our community to be represented so we can look back at this crisis and see it through the right lens.
We haven't forgotten who we are, but we also haven't forgotten who, whatever that entity, whatever that government, whatever that city, whatever that neighbor is to us, and that we are all in this together.
A sentiment captured in beautiful black and white photography from Daniels, an uplifting melody by local composer Doug Davis, and encouraging words from our friends.